Hi everybody, thank you for watching another video of mine. So here's the question that this video is going to present. So why are there so many, or why is there not more people that believe in global warming? Don't forget, NASA and even the president and the government all believe, and many governments around the world believe in global warming. So why are there a bunch of people holdouts? They got to be crazy. But I'm going to answer this question for you. And so let's start with this graph here. Bling. So this is about 10,000 years of temperature, right? Most of the temperatures we see with global warming is like they'd use 20, 30 years. But anyway, so let's take a look at this. So blue is where it gets cold, red is where it gets hot. And you can see at the very right side of the chart, that's where we are now. And if you go the other direction, that's 5, 10,000, wherever you want to put it. But if you look at it, it shows that we're not the hottest period, are we? So, and then the question comes up that, well, how could those eras be that hot? There were no cars. They didn't have cars. There was no factories. There were no coal plants, power plants, that's about more of pollution, which kind of gets wrapped into global warming, right? But let's just talk about the temperature of the planet. Okay, so if they didn't have cars, what caused it? Well, they don't know, do they, so much? They have an idea. It was about the solar and the sun and things like that. So exactly how has the temperature really changed? Let's take a look at that. So a lot of deniers know this. Now, if you read this, this is how much has the global temperature risen? So if you look at this, it's 1.5 Fahrenheit. So it's less than 2% from 1880 to up to present day. And there's a nice little chart there. But we already know from the last chart that this is not the hottest period it's ever been, is it? So this is a good reason maybe somebody will kind of question it. So now let's look at the next chart, which is the carbon monoxide emissions that everyone talks about. So ding, and there it is, the bell. I just brought it up. So anyway, but you can see here that, and this is what's claimed to be almost 1 million years. And they go, hey, look at this level. This is very, very, very high. Look at how much carbon there is in the atmosphere. And this would panic anybody. And so, you know what? It is there. They have proven that. So, but to give you perspective of carbon monoxide, let's look at the next chart. And here it is. So this is what is made up of the atmosphere. So about 20%, 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. And if you look there on the right side, you got carbon dioxide, water vapor, ozone, argon. So carbon dioxide is not even 1%. It's almost 0.5%. Now it doesn't mean we should ignore it. It might mean something. There might be maybe if it goes up 0.5% catastrophe. I don't know. I do know this: plants eat carbon dioxide, don't they? So, but anyway. So now look. So if we take a look at all three of those charts. So here's the temperature for the last 10,000 years. We're not even going back millions. We're just going back 10,000 years. Okay. First chart, there's been hotter periods, and there's been no cars and no factories. Okay. The carbon monoxide emissions are going up pretty drastically as far as we can tell here, which is evident. So we'll say that's, well, I don't have any reason to disagree about that. But to keep it in perspective, it's not even 1% of the atmosphere. It's not even 0.5%. It's a little below 0.5% in the atmosphere, right? So, and to wrap everything up, what we're really talking about for the last 50 years of the global warming panic is 1.5 Fahrenheit. So it's not 2 Fahrenheit, it's 1.5. And that's how much hotter it has gotten on the planet. So if you look at that objectively, you can kind of see maybe somebody would question this. But again, I believe that people who believe it are sincere. And why are they sincere? Because, you know what? If you look at this kind of stuff, they've kind of been panicked, I think, into this. So evidence piece. Oh, here's a postcard you can buy of future London after the climate change. And of course, here's London underwater. London is now underwater. And this is effects of global warming. So that 1.5 Fahrenheit increase will produce a wonderfully green city into apocalyptic city with no grass, and the sky has been scorched red like in the Matrix movie. So, and here's a nice picture of, now of course this probably happened for different reasons, global warming, but they like to say it as, so of course all the oceans, so it's hard to say. New York City will flood, but I guess here the oceans will dry up. So either or, I guess some parts of the oceans will dry up and some, so that's a lot of the panic and scare produced. Now, I'm sure that presents a understandable reason why some people question it, right? So, but again, so what would be my answer to why does the government and governments and everyone go crazy, especially scientists? Well, I'll present my ideas why, and so we'll start with this. So, per year, the U.S. spends $22 billion. $22 billion a year on global warming studies. And so what we have for our studies is that 1.5 Fahrenheit increase, right? That's what we have for our studies. So now in 10 years, it's $200 billion, $200 billion. And if you look here, this is the GDPs of countries, right? So in 10 years, we've spent the entire GDP for 1 year of Hungary, Denmark, Israel, what else? New Zealand? Yeah, New Zealand. Oh, there's the Czech Republic. They're around 300. That's more. Greece is around 200. So, but we're spending in about a 10-year span what it is for the GDP of single countries, right? So we're spending a lot of money. And so the question is, where does that money go? The money goes to scientists to research this, right? And of course, if they're researching, they're trying to, you know what? If a guy researches it and goes, hey, you know what? It's not happening. I don't think he's got any more money coming into him, right? The money keeps going to the guys who go, hey, I got more evidence why it's happening, right? But we hear a lot about how all the scientists believe it. So, but unfortunately, not all scientists believe in global warming, in fact. So here's a story. 30,000 scientists sued Al Gore. They say he's pumping it up. He's making it look bigger than it is, right? And of course, a lot of people don't know this, but this did start in the 70s. And Al Gore is the guy who really presented it from what he learned at college from his professor. By the way, he got a D in that class, by a professor who studied greenhouse gas effect. And by the way, that professor, before he passed away in the 90s, did have questions whether there was global warming or not global warming. He had said this specifically. He says, we need a lot more time to go by because we're talking about looking at the temperature of the planet that's in millions of years and billions of years, and we're just trying to conjecture over like a 30 or 20 year period. At that time, they'd only been doing it for about 10 years, right? 10 or 20 years. But okay. So let's do this. Let's just say global warming is real, right? Global warming is real at what we know today, right? So it's 1.5 Fahrenheit. The temperature went up in roughly 100 years, right? That's what that one website said, the Scientific Research, Atmospheric Research Center. So, okay, so we went from 90 to 91, or we went from 50 degrees to 51 degrees. Now, so what are the answers? What are the solutions to prevent that 1 degree per 100 years, if that's what we're talking about? So let's look here on this website. So on this website, Scientific America, here are the top 10 solutions to prevent that 1.5 degree per 100 years. So we want to, first one is fossil fuels. First challenge is to eliminate burning of coal, oil, and natural gases, right? So they would like to eliminate all of those, I guess, businesses or companies or way we gather power. So, and if you're sensible about this and you understand what would happen, there would be lots of people in the world that would be thrown into starvation, not unless they could find an alternative and move it over slowly enough, right? So, but there are people ready to do that today. So, but here, let's just keep going. Another one is infrastructure upgrades. I don't know how that works, but that sounds a lot like the politicians. I guess if we make the buildings better, hold power, that would, hey, I don't think anybody's got a problem with that. Next one would be move closer to work. So everyone should be within walking distance of your work because they don't want you to drive now. So everyone is going to be on bicycles, or not everyone, but I guess probably the middle class and the poor will have to all be in walking distance of places. They're going to make all the poor people and lower middle class people walk everywhere or drive bicycles. Let's see. There was another one. One of the answers is to eat smart, go vegetarian, which I don't see how that goes. I guess you have less animals on the planet, so they don't flatulate as much, I guess. I'm not too sure. That sounds more of like a thing like a lefty guy who wants people to eat carrots. But he says it'll stop global warming, though, that 1.5%. So next one is to stop cutting down trees. Well, look, that's a nice thing. The trees are nice to have. You know, we've been cutting down trees in America for a very long time, and it's more of like crops. They cut them down, they make something, and they put new trees up, and they kind of keep going over and over again. I know in the Amazon, everyone's always fighting with them about what they can cut in their own country and what they can't. But okay, fine, I guess stop cutting down the trees. But all right. But actually, my conjecture is there'll probably be, if this is true about carbon and us, there'll probably be more food for plants, if anything. So let's see. Here's an interesting one. One child per person. So with 6.6 billion people, the Scientific America and the government, if they back this up, would like everyone to have one child only. And so I guess across the world, it will be that will be enforced that you can only have one child. And future fuels. So we'll go to the corn crops, right? So we'll do the corn crops. And we'll look for the solar vehicles and electric vehicles. You know, but the electric vehicles actually run off coal. Electricity is produced by coal. That's where that electricity comes from. Not unless they can make it there. But I would say about, 1/3 of these ideas would probably starve millions of people, maybe in like places like China or India, right? They'll go in there and shut down their coal plants, and people wouldn't be able to run air conditioners or heaters or anything. So, and it would stop trucks from, this is the scenario. Scenario is you stop those things, gas prices go up to $10 a gallon, and then companies can't, it's too expensive to move foods or to produce things, right? Well, thank you for listening. Look, if you believe in global warming, no hard feelings. You know what? I think in your core, you are looking to defend great things that you believe in, right? So it's just that when you look at all this stuff objectively and you get the answers, instead of looking, oh, by the way, I'm going to run here the NASA climate change model. And remember, that's a 1%, that's 1 degree, 1 Fahrenheit. So they go from a nice blue color to the shocking red. Almost makes you feel like the whole planet is on fire. That's like 1 degree. Okay, so that's their representation from 1.5. I believe that's what the article said anyway. So, okay, but thank you. You know what? Look for, I think, things you can absolutely prove 100% and back those ideas. This seems to be kind of blowing up right now in everybody's faces, right? So, yeah, the planet's changing temperature, but it's not the hottest it's ever been. And so if the introduction of cars and factories and everything has really made the temperature rise, it should be like twice as much, right? That's what we're kind of told, twice as much as anything in the past. And by the way, here's a little trick they play. It's the hottest it's ever been on recorded history, right? So they've only been recording since the 70s. Technically, all the other data they get from 10,000, all this from a while back ago, was it's pulled from tree trunks and other ways of gathering information about the history of the planet. So when they say recorded history, they're talking about just, I don't know, 30 years or something like that. So, okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.